to help us understand exactly why they went there. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. What was the point of your action today?
Yeah, good evening, Salam. Good evening to all listeners of Citi FM. As we advertised, today we went to the site of what has become the world's most expensive pit, $58.1 million. And all we have to see is a pit. And as Bishop Dakeward Mills said in his resignation letter, he never imagined that so much money can be spent only to dig a hole. So you do recall that President Akufo-Addo had promised God, promised Parliament, and promised the Ghanaian people that today, being the 6th of March 2024, will be the day he commissions what he described as his priority of priorities, what he calls a legacy project, $450 million, for which he has demolished so many structures. He demolished the Scholarship Secretariat. He demolished the Passport Head Office. He demolished the Judicial Training Institute. He demolished judges' bungalows. He demolished the Malian ambassador's residence. He demolished bungalows belonging to Shraj. He demolished the Comsys IT firm headquarters. He demolished the Waterstone Realty apartment complex. So when you put all of these demolitions together, the compensation we must pay them, and remember, some are in court, like the Waterstone Realty apartment complex. They are in court saying that they have still not been compensated. When you put all of that together, we have spent far more than the $58 million that was illegally withdrawn in flagrant violation of the Constitution on the blind side of Parliament. So the president told the world that today will be the day for commissioning. Now, we do know that because of major diversions, this has been the most scandal-riddled project. And it is not surprising that because of all the diversions, all the blatant corruption, this project remains a pit after spending $58 million. And so today we went to the site to demand accountability. It was an accountability mission. We walked from Parliament to the place. We chose today because it's a significant day. Today should have been the day of commissioning. And the president owes us an explanation why he spent so much of our money, over $58 million, why he recklessly demolished so many state assets, strategic assets, important institutions like the Judicial Training Institute, which serves the whole of the Commonwealth, judges' bungalows. He demolished the Scholarship Secretariat, the Passport Head Office. Why he did all of these things, and we still don't have any results. There is nothing to show for it, except wanton dissipation of scarce resources, which have ended up in private pockets. So if you look at the 18-point demand we made, one of the demands we are making is an immediate retrieval. David Ajayi is keeping $19.1 million. Carrie Summers is keeping $6 million. Reverend Kusi Boateng Kwabena Edu-Jemfi has 2.6 million Ghana cedis. We are demanding retrievals from all of these persons. We are also saying the National Cathedral Board must be dissolved. The Secretariat, which has so far received a staggering 225 million Ghana cedis. We are demanding that Secretariat should be shut down immediately because it's such a tax guzzler. I mean, after all of these millions of dollars, the contractor, Ribade JV, 2 years ago suspended work for lack of payment. I mean, can you believe that? It's intriguing, absolutely mind-boggling. Look at the staggering sums of money I've been mentioning throughout this interview. And yet, the contractor, Ribade JV, walked away 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, March 14th, 2022, the contractor left for lack of payment. So we are demanding answers. The other demand we are making is that it is absolutely imperative for this contract to be immediately abrogated. It has to be terminated. Because if you pay regard to the terms of the contract, a copy of which we took to the side today, you will observe that the contract is a really terrible one. Despite no work going on, Ghanaian taxpayers will have to pay for extension of time claims. We have to pay for standing time claims. We also have to pay for abortive and reworks costs due to the suspension of works. So even though there's no work going on there, according to the contract signed by the National Cathedral Board of Trustees, backed by President Akufo-Addo, the Ghanaian taxpayer is losing money. And this is a country that, for heaven's sake, cannot even fix the broken down dialysis machines at Konfanote. 19 people died not too long ago at the renal unit at Kolebu. La General Hospital remains a bare ground because government
for the La General Hospital, government says it's secured funding. But Honorable,
after how many years?
Yes, would this be the first time a government would promise fund a project but will be unable to complete it on schedule? I mean, we've had many government promises and projects over the years which have had funds sunk into them but have not been completed on schedule. But we did not see this level of advocacy and crusading from members of parliament or from people. Why is this particular one, incurring this? Is it because it was a personal promise made by the president, and so we had to deal with it this way? Why is it so different?
So first of all, it is because we did not have a national discussion, a national debate. We didn't come to an agreement that we need to construct a cathedral for God. The president told us that it's a personal pledge to God, and he was going to use personal funds. You remember when he met the clergy, he told them
but I'm not sure about personal funds. He said he will lead the process. Government will provide seed funding.
He will lead the process, and they were not going to use public funds.
But the state or the state will
donation.
Yes, the state will provide seed money.
The state initially, he said the state will only provide the land. Then later on, the finance minister came to parliament and said there will just be a minimal contribution of some seed funds. Then we in parliament asked for how much that seed fund will be, because how parliament works is that there has to be a specific item in the budget, in the appropriation bill. There has to be a specific line item. We kept asking for years. They didn't tell us until we started intercepting documents. And so far, what has gone on is not a seed fund contribution. It is rather the state footing the bills. I mean, more than 90% of all payments have come from taxes. And that is not what we were told. So this level of anger and outrage is because of the lies, the deception. Look, as Christians, we believe that if there is any project in this country which must be carried out in absolute purity, cleanliness, above the board, it should be this project. This is not a project that should be subjected to. Do you know that on the 4th of July, 2022, I wrote to the PPA asking if they had even granted procurement approval, if this project has gone through the procurement process. They replied the next day, 5th July, 2022. I have a copy of their reply that they have no knowledge of the project. It didn't come to them. They have granted no procurement approval. Can you believe that? A $450 million project. Even the cost of this project, it started at $100 million. Then it went to 150, 200, 250, 300. Now it's 450, still escalating. So everything surrounding this project has not been transparent. They have not been accountable. We don't even know if this is a project that we should be pursuing
So exactly the point where I want to go to. What then is the future or becomes the future of the project? Is this something you would advise that we pause? Of course, we've paused, re-strategize and pick it up again, spread it, and then get it achieved? Because, a lot is going already. You say 58.1 million. You even said it could be more. Do we just leave it there, leave the site as it is, or we re-strategize, spread it, and then get the project back on the front burner? What is the future of the project in your view?
Yes, so we thought to address this very important question you have asked in the 13 demand we made. We presented a 13-point demand. So we are calling for a national debate so we can achieve some national consensus. A few months ago, the TUC suggested that the place should be turned into a hospital. I have heard others say more specifically that Ghana lacks a specialist children's hospital. And so let's have a very modern, pediatric center to cater for our children, because that's a major deficit we have in our public health. So we can consider all of these options.
No, but the pit on all the investments. Go ahead.
There are some of the reverend ministers who have also told us that the project can be rescoped and they can do it far less if it is left for them. And Ghana's, if you look at Ghana's Christian religious landscape, our reverend ministers, our clergymen have done an amazing job with far less. If you go to their churches, their headquarters, various centers, for prayer, for religious pilgrimage, you'll be amazed what they have done all over the country for far less. So there is also that suggestion that probably it can be rescoped, and then left to the clergy who have tremendous expertise in these matters to go ahead if it is that we come to a certain national consensus that indeed we need a national cathedral, that such a project is, important or a priority. So I say that let's initiate that national discussion and arrive at a certain consensus moving forward. But the project cannot continue in this state, this scope, under this very, laissez-faire, no transparency, everybody just doing whatever they want. People just come collect money and leave the jurisdiction like Carrie Summers did. I mean, at this rate and with these practices, this culture at the National Cathedral Secretariat, nothing will be achieved. It's just a leaking basket. And nothing credible will be achieved.
Very well, Honorable. Just hold it there for me. Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communication of the NPP, is joined the discussion. Hello, Richard. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Indeed, you promised 6 March 2024, and here we are. The project is still, a pit. A lot of money sunk into it. What's the president's thinking? What are you thinking as a party regarding this particular promise the president said was a personal one he made to God? The project is stalled. We've sunk in 58.1 million at least, and nothing is happening.
Well, thank you very much, Salom, and say good evening to my brother, Honorable Ablakwa, and your listeners. Salom, I think that the cathedral project is work in progress. I think that for any project of that magnitude, you begin, you dig a foundation, and you build it out. And so where it's at is at an appropriate stage where, in time, the structure will be put on it. So for me, I don't see any real challenge. I don't see any appearance of waste, because necessarily you must dig the pit and build on it. So if people want to capitalize that you are digging a pit and you haven't built it out, what I tell them is that it's just a matter of time and a start time.
Upon hindsight, will you say that the 2024 6 March date given was overambitious?
Well, perhaps, but projects are always estimated to finish at a certain time, and they always almost never finished at the time, but eventually they get finished. There are projects in this country that were started under Muzia, some under Rawlings, some under John Mahama, Professor Atta Mills, with ambitious dates. They never got finished. But the truth about them is that in time, they will be finished. We are in a business of a continuous governance, and so if what is started today is not finished, certainly our posterity will finish it if we ourselves we don't finish it before our time passes.
Are you also concerned? Yes.
Yes.
Are you also concerned about the controversies that has dogged this particular project? Issues with some of the persons on the board, the resignations and all of that. Issues of lack of accountability, alleged breach of procurement rules, etc. This is a house being built for God. And are you not concerned that a house being built for God is being dogged by many of such controversies, most of them, being alleged criminalities?
Well, there is no surprise. Even at the time of creation, in God's own house, there was Satan there. So to have to deal with human beings and people having indiscretions and creating disruption in what was supposed to be an orderly execution of a project to build a house in honor of God. They will not be the first in our generation to have a situation like that. Even in churches, all these projects that you have seen them build, there's always one person or the other trying to scuttle the efforts of many. So what I am very resolute and clear in my mind about is the commitment to build this. And I believe that commitment and desire to build a national cathedral for the country, I think it's a noble one. And what we have to do is that continue in this effort. And I believe that good people will come around and support this project to see the light of day.
That's a very important point you made. So as part of the exercise they did today, which I'm sure you speak about, they put forward a 13-point agenda. One of them is that let's convert a place to maybe a children's hospital because Ghana lacks that. Another one is let's pause, let's terminate the contract, let's have a national discussion on whether we need a national cathedral, and let's allow the clergy who have expertise in building cathedrals and church buildings lead it rather than the state, taking the front role or the front seat. What's your thinking around these demands they are making?
Well, certainly, in nation building, these are legitimate proposals that have been made. But at any given time, you have a leader, and that leader will take all these inputs and guide us in a forward march with a decision that he thinks is most appropriate for us. So, but then not to discount all of those, I think that they are good ideas. But ultimately, Arrowhead would give us a direction and we'll follow. And so, but you see, so this cathedral thing, I think people make it into appearing as if it's a misplaced project. It's not. Look, if we build a hospital today, tomorrow we'll need something else. And the very thing that we need today that we're building, we think that is the last thing or the most important we need, and there's another thing that is more important. So things will have to be ordered in terms of preference. I get that, but we're never going to finish building the ultimate thing we need and the last thing that we ever need to build. So things will be left undone, but the cathedral also is important. So let's get all these ideas. What I think is our solution is that let's get more revenue, let's get more resources so we can build all of these things that we're looking for. But let's not, in the process, underestimate the importance of one thing over the other.
Speaking about getting more revenue and more resources, there's been a call for there's been a call for an audit into what we've done so far. That audit, I'm not sure, has been done. Indeed, Reverend Sudanaba and Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams called for that audit as well. Kujo to Ablakwa, quite a number of people have called for that audit. I'm not sure that audit has been done, but here we are calling for more resources. On what basis do you think people will be confident in providing those resources when the ones we've given earlier, we've not properly accounted for same?
My point of more revenue is not in respect of build a cathedral. I'm saying that so that other things that are being proposed, that we need to build a hospital, we need to build something else rather than a cathedral. What we need, if we have enough resources to go around. We'll build all of these things simultaneously. But the point is not to say that one is more important, and therefore saying that cathedral is not a subservience to build a hospital or to build that. They're all collectively important, and as a people, we must build all of them.
But what's your take? Yes, what's your take on the call for audit, which has been made by many people many months ago?
Absolutely. I don't know any better way if people need clarity, and there is some appearance of lack of clarity. People want to do that. Certainly, let's do an audit. In fact, the National the Secretariat actually have indicated that it's commissioned even before the Archbishop Dr. William asked for the audit. They've ordered for that audit to be done, and so that audit is in the process. And I don't know if they have finished or not, but there's a request audit that is a motion that's been given to one of these foreign audit firms that is in motion doing that. So I say that it's a good thing. Let's do it because we need daylight and we need to be clear on what is going in and whether or not people are managing it well. So I think this government, this party, we support that kind of sanity be brought to the process. So there is no opposition to that at all. The only concern is my good brother's effort to besmirch the whole process, to make it look like something untoward is happening, that somebody set this up as a scheme, and it's an entirely a wasteful project. I think those are just the aspect that we have to manage. Our politics around the subject can advance to say that we feel that we shouldn't do this, we should do A, B, C, D, and show our justification. But let's not at any given time make this appear as if is a misplaced project. It cannot be because you may be a Christian, you may not be a Christian, but the point of it is that we, all of us, to a very large extent, are hoping against hope to say that when all this thing is said and done, we are right in what we believe to be the answer, to be the way to eternity. And so there is no certainty. So that when you come to a point where somebody's belief, you belittle it and make it to seem as if though it's not necessary, this is more important. I find that to be problematic. We're trying to build this country. If you have concern, you can say it. But today, the leadership we have a vision and have an idea in that moment, leading this country, saying that this is what we must do. When we have concern about how resources are put together, let's question that. But let's not at any point belittle the significance of building a national cathedral for us as a people in worship of God. Let's not mischaracterize the commitment there and make it appear as if.
Do you also think that how the project was introduced to us as a personal pledge the president made to God might have heightened the politics around the acceptability of the project? You think so?
Well, so everything the president sold to Ghanaians in terms of vision and having been elected on that basis were his beliefs, were his vision for our country. If you become the president of Ghana tomorrow, Solomon, before you will become and when you become, what you seek to advance is your good vision for Ghana, the Ghana you want to build, or if you want somebody to build for you. So that best dream you have for our country is what you advance. So these are ideas that flows from you, the person. So the president's belief that Ghana needs a national cathedral, whether he says it's his personal pledge or whatever or not, that is his part of his vision for this country. So he cannot separate it from everything else he does. So Free SHS, he believes it, he's committing our resources to educate the masses of our people who, for one reason or the other, financially could not afford to go to school. It is his vision, personal belief, that let's give opportunity to all of our children to go to school unimpeded.
Very well.
Doing that.
Very well.
So if you want to build a national cathedral, it's not different from the Free SHS, the medical drone that is brought, the one district, one factory that we are committing, tax incentives to make sure that industry springs up across our country. It is part of his vision. So yes, if we are in the process using some national resource to drive that, I think that it is for Ghana, not for him.
Very well.
What is key
Very well.
is that let's make sure that those resources are used judiciously and
we are accountable for, and we account for them.
Exactly where there are concerns, let's raise them. But
Thank
by
you.
all means, let's not undermine the project.
Thank you so much, Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communications at MPP. Thank you so much for speaking to us on this. Honorable Ablakwa, so essentially, he doesn't disagree with you too much, apart from the symbolic exercise you carried out today. Audit is for it, national discussion is for it, etc. What's the way forward on this? Just in a minute.
Well, Richard says that we shouldn't undermine the project. It is the president who undermined this project from the get-go. Look, what stopped the president from opening up, being honest, telling us that, look, can we have a discussion on National Cathedral? Though it wasn't in my manifesto. It's something I want to do. Can we all discuss as a country? If that is the way to go, then he puts it in the budget. Every year we know the allocation. All the projects that Richard Ahiagba listed, they come to us in Parliament. They are in the budget. When you take the budget, you go to the appendices, government's flagship programs. You see all of them, from free SHS to NAPCO to planting for food and stuff. And we know how much is going into these projects. Parliament approves it. There is no controversy. But this never featured. There was no specific allocation. We had to intercept documents before we knew that taxpayer funds were going to this project. No approval from the Public Procurement Authority. As we speak, despite all of these sums, over $58 million, the contractor has left site for lack of payment 2 years ago. Can you believe that? So there are issues. Look, I'm
sure he will come back. I'm sure he will come back. But on a different issue, maybe that brings you some relief and respite. You know, your people, I mean, in Southern Volta, who suffered in the Akosombo Dam spillage. So this is an entirely different matter. The president today, at the Independence Day address, said that some 80 million cedis or so is being released for that particular purpose. We berated the president for not speaking about it in the State of the Nation address. Here we are, money is being released. That should make you happy.
Well, this came to my knowledge when we returned from the world's most expensive pit. We welcome the news, but I will cautiously say that let us see the results of that. There have been so many promises by this president, and we don't see it on the ground. So far, I cannot confirm to you that I have seen any government project actually taking place on the ground. So maybe the release happened a few days ago and is now going to translate into actual on-the-ground construction of homes for our people, our fellow compatriots who continue to live in tents. I have only, with the help of private sector and benevolent Ghanaians, put up houses to house 600. But there are over 2,000 people still in tents. You know, and there's really so much an ordinary MP can do. So it's a news we will welcome, but I'll be cautious because of the track record of this government, and hope that announcement of release of funds would really translate on the ground.
Very well. Thanks so much, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongue, speaking to us on two issues. The National Cathedral matter. They were there today to symbolize